Whether thou art a ghost that hath come from the earth, or a phantom of night that hath no home, or one that lieth dead in the desert, or a ghost unburied, or a demon, or a ghoul, whatever thou be until thou art removed, thou shalt find here no water to drink. Thou shalt not stretch forth thy hand to our own. Into our house enter thou not. Through our fence break through thou not. We are protected, though we may be frightened. Our life you may not steal, though we may be scared to death.
Welcome to Scared to Death, Creeps, Peepers, Roberts, and Annabelles. I'm Dan.
Hello, Dan. I'm Lynze.
Oh, Lynze, okay.
It just came out.
Whatever you're feeling.
I have, my two sides.
Lynze has a couple announcements, and then we are off into Storyland.
Yes. Okay, so two quick announcements here at the top of the show. Don't forget, coming up Thursday, October 23rd, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, our 5th annual Haunted Halloween show coming to you right here from our home studio in Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
Logan's coming out. He's going to be supporting us on this show. You can get your tickets for $20 at moment.co/scared to death. Of course, you can find this information in the episode description. If you've visited Moment before their website, you can also search for it there. Lots of podcasts doing cool stuff there. And then also, thinking forward about the holiday season that is just beyond spoopy season. We have the Bad Magic Productions Giving Tree again. If you are able to support the Giving Tree this year, again, we are accepting Amazon gift cards as we have in years past. And if you're looking for support this holiday season, there's also a way for you to throw your name in the hat, so to speak. And all of that information is at badmagicproductions.com. Just look for the Giving Tree and all the information is there. And it's in the episode description.
Well done.
Whew! I did that in 1 minute.
Now, what stories will you be sharing with us tonight out of those emailed into mystory@scaredtodeathpodcast.com?
Yeah, please send in your stories. We never have too many.
Yeah.
My first tale is a very interesting retelling of someone else's story. Like, oh my God, somebody told me this story and it's crazy.
Okay. All right.
About a solo camper. Never went camping by themselves before, go camping by themselves, and holy shit, is it scary.
I like that. And I like that angle of, like, it doesn't have to be this happened to me. It can be like, we've had a few of these in the past, but just a good reminder. It can be like, oh my God, my uncle would tell this story, to our family members, and it just freaked me out every time he told it. I totally believe it. Here it is.
Yeah, and oftentimes I actually think those are the best stories because it's lore. It gets handed down in the traditional way that all cultures have shared stories for all of human time, and they get a little embellished or like a little detail gets left out, but it's
based on a true story horror movie kind of thing. Yeah,
it somehow has this like texture of relatability to it. Like, oh yeah, my uncle had a story like that too.
Yeah.
And then my second story is an awesome trick-or-treating story that's very spoopy.
Good time of year for that.
Very timely, and I just don't want to say too much.
Okay. My first of two will take us to Lima, Peru. We've been to Peru at least once here on Scared to Death, but never before to Lima, I don't think. I tried to look into it. We'll explore the very dark legend of what many claim to be Lima's most haunted location. La Casa Matusita has a 16th century curse led to a whole lot of blood and madness. And that Matusita is a last name, not a Spanish word. If you're like, I don't recognize that as a Spanish word. And then we'll head to the suburbs of Chicago for a modern encounter that starts with a shoe print. Doesn't sound scary. Very, very scary.
Okay.
Once you've shown me this week's spoopy socks, I will begin.
Okay. Shout out to to our friends Priscilla and John. This is, oh my gosh, how
Buc-ee's.
many? Yeah, I know it's Buc-ee's. No, I was thinking about how many sets of Buc-ee's socks they've given me. Buc-ee's does special Halloween socks. At the last camp, and then this just most recent camp, they've brought them to me, and man, they're just like really, really genuine people. My eyes get a little misty thinking about them as a couple. They're so lovely. They sent us crazy water, if you're familiar with that, and just just a reminder that there are really good people out there. So thanks, John. Thanks, Priscilla. Love the socks, and I appreciate you both.
Here we go. Just a few blocks away from Lima, Peru's bustling historic center, sits a large, pretty nondescript two-story building on a busy corner, surrounded by mostly commercial buildings. Its upper floor is dark these days, dusty and abandoned. The first floor currently bustles with life, housing a hardware store at the moment, where a bank and several other small businesses have sat in the past. Most locals don't pay it much attention, but some, those familiar with the lore, they steer clear of it, often crossing the street to walk past it, saying a prayer of protection as they do. They know the building by a name you'll not find on Apple or Google Maps: La Casa Matusita. A place not just haunted, but a place whose allegedly still active malevolent spirits might literally drive you insane if you spend too much time inside on the second floor, a place where no one seems to stay for long, where no family can handle living there for any length of time due to an old curse and a lot of violent death that has followed it. Time now for the tale of a banquet of blood. So let's start with the lore. The story of La Casa Matusita's curse begins before the house was built. Well over 4 centuries ago, in 1573, a Persian woman named Parvana Devaspa arrived in Lima and lived in an earlier building where that house now stands. Known for her knowledge of herbs and remedies, she became widely known and respected as a healer. Her potions, poultices, salves are said to have cured the sick, eased so much pain, and oftentimes worked where the Catholic Church's remedies at the time had failed. And because of her success, because of how she had helped many where the use of Christian prayers or priestly intervention had failed, she had doomed herself. Rumors began to spread that she was a witch. The Catholic Church at this time would not stand for anyone operating in the spiritual realm who did not strictly adhere to their teachings. There was no room for opposing beliefs. You either bent the knee and, as a woman, deflected to the guidance and direction of local priests, or you were labeled a heretic, and you faced torture and likely death. And that is exactly what happened to Parvane Devaspa. Parvane was arrested for heresy, tortured until she confessed to dealing with the devil. A confession certainly given only because it was the one thing that would make the torture stop. And in 1574, she was sentenced to being burned alive. And that sentence was quickly carried out. I'm sure it was just as awful as you can imagine. Witnesses claimed her final words were not pleas for mercy. They were a curse. She bound her tormentors, their descendants, and the very ground beneath her feet to her eternal vengeance. Decades later, centuries later, in 1813, a massive fire will destroy much of the Peruvian Inquisition's archives. This particular Catholic Inquisition had begun in 1570, would last all the way until 1820. Officially, just 32 people were executed by the church for heresy during this time. Unofficially, hundreds if not thousands died. Conveniently, Parvane's trial records were lost in that fire, leaving only rumors of her healing prowess, torture, and execution, packed with darkness and final curse. But while the flames erased most of the facts, whispers of what happened have never died, and later events will add credibility to the possibility of her curse. Speaking of those later events, let's now jump to the 1880s. That decade, a Japanese immigrant family, the Matusita family, moved into what would become known as Casa Matusita. With the 1873 Peru-Japan Treaty of Commerce and Friendship, Peru actually became the first Latin American country to establish diplomatic relations with Japan, and would receive the first Japanese immigrants to South America. Peru needed laborers, and Japan was having an economic crisis. The Matusita family were searching for a fresh start and better economic opportunities, the dream of a better future. Instead, they found themselves in the middle of a nightmare. According to the legend, the father broke down. Business in Peru was not what he thought it was going to be. It didn't go nearly as well as he had hoped it would, and a great deal of financial stress was weighing and wearing on him. And perhaps Parvane's curse was as well, and the ghosts of those who had previously died violently in this house. More on those deaths in a bit. Neighbors said they started to witness him muttering to himself, arguing with people no one else could see. And then one night, his mind shattered completely. The final straw is said to be he came home and discovered his wife upstairs in bed with another man, or so he believed. Some think there was no affair and no other man, but instead the house was making him see things that weren't real. Lover or not, in a frenzy, he butchered either his wife or both his wife and her lover, if the lover was real, then dismembered their bodies and hastily stuffed the pieces into the hollow walls of the house before anyone witnessed what he had done. But then when his children returned home, they found their father with blood still dripping from his hands. They'd caught him. He had not hidden what he had done in time. and now their screams will fill the night because of that. The father reportedly turned on his children, killing each of them with a knife one by one before finally ending his own life. When authorities arrived, they found the house eerily silent and covered in blood. The walls, they said, held the screams of those the father had butchered. He had also dismembered his children and hid most of their remains before he died himself. And that tragedy, allegedly not the building's first. The house's blood-soaked reputation had already been made by an earlier tale, and perhaps by still others now lost to history. Decades before the Japanese family's tragedy, a wealthy man is said to have lived there, and the longer he lived in the house, the more paranoid he is said to have become, and the more cruel. He would fly into a rage at his servants over nothing, accusing them of plotting against him, of stealing from him, his paranoia fed perhaps by the walls of the house. Finally, the servants snapped, and during a lavish banquet on the second floor, they laced the food with hallucinogens, locked the guests inside, and left them to madness. And that madness turned violent. When the doors were finally opened, the guests had ripped each other apart. Blood painted the walls, tables were overturned. Some of the servants' bodies would soon join the dead. They would kill themselves in the aftermath, unable to live with what they had done, or perhaps unable to escape the curse. But a few lived long enough to share their story. By the 20th century, Casa Matusita was infamous, and its second floor sat abandoned. There were rumors that some who had trespassed and squatted in the abandoned second floor had either died there or had ended up committed to psychiatric facilities in the area. Casa Matusita had gained quite the reputation for either driving its occupants into an early grave or to madness. Rumors said anybody who spent the night on the upper floor, where all the carnage had occurred over the years, would lose their mind if not their life. Then in the 1970s, Argentine TV host Humberto Vilches Vera decided to prove that was nothing more than a lie. On his variety show, Los Fantasmas se divierten, there we go, which translates to Ghosts Have Fun, Vera bet he could spend not just 1 but 7 nights in the house. He didn't make it past the first night. He stumbled outside after that first night, eyes wide, his words incoherent. He raved about visions, about faces where there were none, voices calling out to him from every shadow, urging him to do terrible, unspeakable things. And he was institutionalized for almost a year, and his career was over. And the house is said to have claimed even more victims in the years since. And now for some lore from the 21st century. The following has been translated from a Peruvian paranormal forum post from 2007. The author wrote, "I never thought I'd be writing something like this. I used to laugh at the stories. Casa Matusita, just a building to me. Dusty windows above a busy bank. And then the bank closed and it was just a big abandoned building. One night, talking about it to some friends close to Halloween, a few of my university friends dared me to go inside with them. Spend just one night, they said. We'll be legends. I agreed. I had zero fear of the paranormal back then, but I should have. I now regret what we did every day. There were 3 of us that night. Myself, a kid named Emiliano, and a girl, Mia. We all slipped in late at night after Emiliano climbed up and snuck through an unlocked window on the second floor and then let Mia and I in downstairs. I was much more worried about being caught for trespassing, for breaking into the building, than I was about ghosts or some curse when we entered. The air inside was stifling, heavy with dust or something sour. I remember it smelled like rotten meat. Our flashlights caught layers of cobwebs everywhere. When we made it up to the second floor and started walking around, the floorboards creaked beneath our feet. That definitely made things feel a bit scary, but none of us were worried about anything. Not yet. We joked around and Mia took some pictures with her digital camera. We pretended to be ghost hunters. But then Mia's camera froze and stopped working. The screen started glitching and showing nothing but static, and she couldn't access any previews of the photos she had just taken. We joked about the curse, how it must be the curse that had made Mia's camera malfunction. But our laughs all sounded a bit fake. Things weren't so funny anymore. And then Emiliano let out a little yell, and he hurried over to where I was standing. He said he had just heard someone whispering, that it sounded like they were nearby, on the same floor as us. Even though he didn't speak it, he thought they were whispering in Quechua, the old language of Peru, the language of the Incas. Strange. We convinced Emiliano that it was probably just his mind playing tricks on him, that he'd only gotten scared because of Mia's camera malfunctioning and us talking about a curse. Pretty soon he settled down. A little at least. and we went back to exploring the second floor. But then that sour smell we all noticed when we first walked in returned, and it was stronger than before, and the temperature dropped. Then a few minutes later, we all saw something impossible. A bloody banquet. Where a bare empty room should have been, there was instead a long table lit by flickering candles. Plates of food sat half-eaten, crawling with flies. Strangely dressed figures slumped in chairs that shouldn't have been there. They sat motionless, yet they seemed somehow aware of their fate. What I felt seeing them, it's hard to describe. And then when we shined our flashlights on their faces, we realized that there were no faces, just smooth, pale skin stretched tight. Emiliano began screaming right as we saw this, screaming that something was pulling at his chest. He ripped open his shirt to reveal long scratches forming across his skin, as if invisible claws were carving him open. In that same moment, Mia started to swear that she heard her dead grandmother calling out her name. She said that the voice came from the head of the table. And then when she turned, she saw that one of the faceless figures had risen. Its mouth had appeared, and it opened wide like a hungry animal, like something that wanted to devour her. We were all screaming now, and we tried to run out of the building as fast as we could. But the door we'd come in through was gone. The building had made it disappear somehow. In its place was a brick wall. We clawed at it, shouted, pounded against it, cried, and prayed. We ran across the first floor and found another door. We burst out into the street, and when we looked back, it was the same door we had entered. That didn't make any sense. Nothing did. The entire building was now dark and silent. It didn't feel wrong anymore. We didn't see anything appear in any of the windows. It was like everything we had just seen and heard had never happened. Emiliano, my classmate who had been scratched, he never fully recovered from that night. His scratches healed, but his mind did not. He couldn't stop talking about the banquet. He would ask me and me over and over, every day it seemed, if we were sure we had seen it. He wanted to believe he had imagined it. But how could 3 people all imagine the same thing? He wanted to know how that could have happened, and he started reading all kinds of books about ghosts and haunted places. He started going to church a lot. He talked about God and the devil and demons and ghosts all the time. Then he dropped out of school. I haven't seen him since, but I heard he went crazy, that he's in an institution now somewhere. Mia and I have stayed in touch, but that night hurt her too. She says she still dreams of that faceless figure standing at the head of the table, opening his mouth like he wants to eat her. She scares easily now, and she doesn't like to be out at night unless there are a lot of other people around. She doesn't watch horror movies or read anything scary. I haven't been the same either. I can't stop going back to Casa Matusita. I still live within walking distance of it, and I walk past it about once a week, at night. I just stop and stare into its windows. I'm not sure what I'm hoping to see. I guess I want answers of some kind. What exactly did we see that night? Why did we see it? What would have happened if we had stayed? I haven't seen anything since that night, but oftentimes when I'm standing outside staring up into the second floor, I start to feel pulled. I feel eyes watching from behind the glass, waiting for me to step back inside. Sometimes I want to break in again, to face it again, to maybe somehow conquer my fear of that place, prove that it can't actually hurt me, that all it can do is scare me. But I always decide to walk away because, what if I'm wrong? What if it can hurt me? What if it can make me lose my mind? Or something even worse?
That bloody banquet.
I know, what a crazy scene.
Yeah, and then the disappearing, reappearing door.
Uh-huh.
The combination of those two things.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
thank you. I was so upset when he started telling the story and giving the historical background because I knew exactly where we were headed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, of course they're going to say she's a witch, and then they're going to kill her.
I know, that was centuries of life on Earth. Like when
Well, get excited. We might be headed back there.
when the Catholic Church really went and just people started colonizing from Catholic nations, a new world. I mean, that was the deal. And it was the deal, back in Europe too. I guess I shouldn't say colonizing, but yeah, for centuries. It was like, if you were just not following what they thought you should follow, they could just say that you're a heretic and then you get tortured.
Yeah. So many comments I'm going to keep to myself.
I have some photos.
All right.
This first one, pretty tame photo of La Casa Matusita from TripAdvisor.
Oh, is it that building on the corner?
Yep, it's that tan building, that just block building on the corner.
You guys, it's okay. You can catch all of these images at Scared to Death Podcast on Instagram or on Facebook. If you're listening but doing it on YouTube, you can just, look at YouTube right now. It is the most banal building.
Mhm.
It's just a giant block
Yep.
with like a dozen windows. It's lame. It's a lame building. You would see it and you would think like, huh, is that a warehouse?
Yeah. And I think it might look different now. I haven't been able to tell if I could find like brand new photos, but a few years ago, they demolished the second floor, which is interesting.
Huh.
They left the first floor completely alone, got rid of the second floor, where all these stories come from.
Strange. Maybe they'd had enough.
Yeah, or maybe some shit was happening up there.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe they had enough of either the rumors or they just had enough of like the paranormal activity.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that first pick was from TripAdvisor. This one's from innerchats.co.uk. And then this is a poster for either a 2016 Peruvian movie called The Mystery of Casa Matusita or what was supposed to be that movie. I cannot figure out if it was
What do you
just
mean?
funded. I can't find a trailer and I can't find where you would stream it. And it might just be like licensing to this country.
Oh, I see.
But there's lots of talk about it. There's the cast and everything. And I can't figure out if they had everybody attached, made the poster, came up with the description, or if they did all that and actually shot it. So it says it's about an American writer and his wife who temporarily move into the infamous Casa Matusita in Lima, Peru.
With Gary Oldman?
Yeah, I know. I wish I could find it. Move in there for a journalistic investigation, and then the couple encounter seemingly supernatural events, changing their lives in ways they could never imagine, and of course, based on true events.
Wait, who's Skeet Ulrich? I know that name. Why do I know that name?
I don't know.
Okay, never mind. In this movie poster, does not look like Casa Matusita
No,
at
no,
all.
no.
It's like they've really taken some creative liberties there.
Yeah, they took it outside of the city, maybe to the edge of the city or something. But it looks
Yeah, or maybe
like
to Connecticut.
I know. It doesn't look like they filmed it in Lima at all.
No, but I'm bummed because I was like, oh, well, maybe for authenticity, they filmed in the actual Casa Matusita. And then because of what happened during filming, they destroyed the second floor. I was getting very excited making not real connections.
There is this next one, another movie poster. This movie was made. You can find it online. But in 2014, a Peruvian movie, Secreto Matusita, Many Myths, One Truth. Is that little log line there of what is it? Muchos mitos, una sola verdad, and it's a found footage film in Spanish. According to the log line, video footage depicting a supernatural encounter is all that remains of a filmmaker and his crew who disappeared while exploring a haunted house.
Aha! Okay, so maybe that one.
That's a premise I always like. It's just a really
found footage.
Yep, it's a really clean one for a horror movie. Because it just adds stakes immediately. Where like right out the gate, you're like, well, what happened to the people who made the video? Like, are they still around? Are they all gone? You assume usually that they're all gone in a horror movie. And then I just like, I don't know. It just it's a good way just to jump right into the story of just like an ominous atmosphere is just there from the very start.
Would you say that in your experience consuming horror movies, that found footage movies are generally very low budget?
Yes, that's also a way to do it too, because then you can get away with filming on an iPhone or you film on like whatever shitty camera because you have this conceit of, well, we found this old camera.
And the reason I don't care for that is that oftentimes it moves so much that I am nauseous within the first 5 minutes. I don't do well with found footage because the point is that you want to see the footage of the person, and generally they're not using like a Steadicam. They're not using like a gimbal or something. So I have a hard time. I just am like sick so fast.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I feel like I can't think of one right now, but I feel like sometimes they kind of cheat where it's like found footage. But when you once you start going, then they kind of jump into the scene and then just use regular cameras sometimes too. I can't think of an example of that, but I feel like I've seen that.
I feel like actually we saw that in like a horror movie that was about like a bunch of young people making a haunted house or like worked at a haunted house, and then somebody really died in the haunted house. That like one of the actors becomes a killer or something like that. That feels like found footage premise that then very much jumped into not.
Yeah, I think we watched that when we were doing our This Looks Awesome like horror movie club here for a while.
Feels familiar, right?
Yeah, I just can't remember the name of it, but I can picture scenes from it.
Carry on.
Okay, so that's all I have for that one. You ready to head to Chicago for my next supposedly true tale?
I just wanted to point out one other thing.
Oh, sure.
About the people at the bloody banquet.
Yes.
The banquet of blood. That description of pale, stretch skin across the face, I feel like that's been popping up. Just, it feels very familiar to me. I feel like I've been saying that a lot in stories recently too. Just like pale skin that wasn't their own. Like we talk about, the Hat Man always looks like this. And,
Oh, yeah.
So it feels like a descriptor of a certain kind of demon or paranormal entity that fits into this box. I'm not exactly sure what we would call them. Like, this wasn't skinwalkers. It's not that. It's not.
Or it could be something of like, okay, if something's goal is to terrify, let's say that there's these entities out there, supernatural entities, that their main goal is just to make you feel as scared as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that like a good tactic for that would be to have a humanoid figure without any facial features. Because it is immediately just unnerving.
Yeah, it's the same. Right, it's why aliens are so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like it fries your brain. It is like it's like a severe uncanny valley vibes, where you're just like it's just natural horror. You're like, how is this thing breathing? How is this thing seeing? How is it finding me when it doesn't have eyes, doesn't have a mouth?
Fair.
Yeah,
No,
so creepy.
You make good points.
Okay, now are you ready to?
Yes,
head to
thank you.
Chicago? No, that's great. Now we just jump right in. Time now for the tale of Who Did I Bring Home? I was 16. I still remember every itchy thread of that windbreaker because it was November and it was especially cold, even for the Chicago area. Cold enough you felt the metallic taste of metal whenever you opened your mouth and the air hit your teeth, if you know what I mean. My buddy Jesse lived a mile down from us in that kind of house with a walk up to the second floor and a basement you could easily hide in if you were 16 and smoking things you shouldn't. That night, we were in her den, feet up, watching horror movies and eating nacho cheese Doritos out of the bag. At some point, we got bored, and acting on good old teenage logic, we decided to take a little unplanned field trip to a scary local place that's supposed to be haunted. It's just off Munger Road a bit. This small lake, or I guess a pond really, with a bunch of overgrown brush around it. You can't even see it until you're almost on top of it. Jessie had told me before, on several different occasions actually, that she had seen something terrible there when she was a little kid. Like a dead body, she said. Or maybe even several bodies. I wasn't sure I believed her. I mean, I never knew her to be a liar, but that's a pretty crazy claim to make. I figured maybe she had seen something, real quick, out of the corner of her eye, that looked like it might have been a flash of skin, the shape of a person or people, and then she let her imagination add some details or whatever. We drove down there, parked in a little lot, shut the engine off, and walked out into the dark. We were both pretty spooked. She was good and scared because of the bodies she thought she had seen. She was worried about seeing their ghosts, but also at the same time hoping we would see them. I mean, it was why we were heading down there. I wasn't worried about ghosts or dead bodies. I was worried about becoming a dead body. We were two teenage girls headed out to a hidden wooded area in the suburbs at night. Neither one of us even had pepper spray to keep ourselves safe with. And we hadn't told anyone where we were going. Looking back on it all now, I was right to be scared. It feels like the beginning of some true crime documentary. We didn't end up staying out there for very long. It was a lot harder to walk down through the thick brush than we expected. There wasn't really a trail or anything, at least not one we could find. And the ground wasn't yet frozen, so it was pretty muddy. And Jessie, once we got close to the pond, she couldn't remember where exactly she thought she had seen those bodies. And like I said, it was cold. So before we got murdered or froze to death, and after not seeing or hearing anything strange or unexplainable, we started walking back towards my car. And once we'd made it up to the little dirt and gravel parking lot near the road where I'd parked, now I got goosebumps. I felt on edge instead of feeling relieved, and I didn't know why. I hadn't heard or seen anything. And where we had parked, it wouldn't have been very easy for some creep to hide on the other side of the car or anything and wait for us, because then every car driving by would have been able to see them. But still, I was worried that something was going to happen or that someone was nearby. And then we both saw it at exactly the same time. A fresh shoe print. Small, like it came from a kid. And in the weirdest place, my windshield. Just one. Single and complete. Like someone had walked across the glass, but only actually stepped on it a single time. And it was so distinct. The print had the tread. I still remember the little diamond pattern, pressed in like mud on concrete. Jessie and I, after exchanging a what the hell glance, wiped and rubbed and cursed at it. It wouldn't come off, no matter how hard we tried to remove it. I turned on the windshield wipers. I kept spraying so much windshield wiper fluid, but it didn't touch it. Some Kleenex we grabbed from inside the glove box made no difference. No matter how hard we tried to clean it off, it still looked fresh. as if whoever left it had just done it a minute ago. Except there was nobody in the parking lot and no footprints anywhere in the gravel. Eventually, we just gave up. We went back to Jesse's, and I started stalling. I didn't want to drive home alone with that thing stuck on my car. It freaked me out in a way I cannot explain. We watched TV, and I kept glancing at the clock. Eventually, I knew I'd have to go home or get in trouble, though. My brother and I live with my mom, and she was out of town for work for the night, and I was supposed to be at home watching my little brother, who was having a slumber party with a friend. After about 2 hours, I felt like I couldn't stall any longer, and I went out to the car again. I really hoped the print had just vanished. But no, of course it was still there. I showed Jessie. We'd been talking about it off and on ever since we'd gotten back, and she shivered. It freaked her out too. Jessie went back inside, grabbed a stick of incense, and handed it to me. She told me to hold it. She said it was an old thing her grandma did if something in the house felt wrong. I laughed, but I also took it, and I kept the incense burning in my hand the entire way home. When I got back near my house, the street felt especially quiet. You know the sound when everything in the neighborhood is asleep except the crickets? That was the sound that night. I noticed it, and I still remember it because of how worked up I felt. All my senses were on high alert. I had this feeling that the shoe print was anything but random, that it was like an omen or like a bigger part of something, but far more disturbing. I pulled into the garage, shut the door, and for a second I just stared at the print from the safety of my driveway light. A single perfect shoe on the glass where it had no business being. One that I could not get rid of. How the hell does that happen? I had this crazy urge to go grab a baseball bat or something and smash the whole windshield just so I didn't have to see it anymore. I came into the house to the laundry room. We had that connected inside door, the kind that's handy when your arms are full of groceries. My brother's friend was still awake in the living room, playing some video game on the couch. I went directly up to my room, watched some TV until I thought the tremor in my hands would pass, slept for maybe an hour, light, broken sleep, and then sometime around 2 a.m, I heard someone making noises downstairs. Not the creaks and groans of a house settling, it was a sound of somebody entering and moving through the house. Right as I started to wonder if it was just in my head, my brother came sprinting up the stairs, panting, his eyes wide. Did you just come inside? He shouted. No, I said slowly. I've been here for hours. He and his friend, who had come upstairs after him, they both said the same thing. They'd heard the laundry room door, the one from the garage, open and close, like somebody had come in the house through the garage. But the back door to the yard in the garage was locked. I know it was locked because I was so spooked I had made sure to lock it when I came home. Then I double-checked it, made sure it was locked before I went to bed. I checked the front door too. And our dog, who slept out in the yard, hadn't barked. But we were all certain that we had heard something. And my brother and his friend swore they heard footsteps in the hall after that door shut. I felt like I was about to completely freak out. I hadn't told them about the shoe print on the windshield. I hadn't told them about walking down to that pond with Jessie. But it all felt connected. Before I said something about the print, my brother's friend said, "Someone's in the house with us." I didn't feel like I had time to explain the shoe print to them, but I grabbed that incense stick, relit it, and held it again. My brother grabbed a baseball bat out of his room. His friend grabbed this ridiculous set of nunchucks my brother had ordered from some weird shop online that he had never figured out how to use without hurting himself. His friend didn't know how to use them either. We looked ridiculous. It would have been hilarious if we weren't all so scared. We all walked downstairs and stood in the laundry room for a moment, bracing ourselves for the worst, before walking into the garage to see if a door was open or unlocked. The concrete floor of the garage was cold and dusty, and then right there, just outside the laundry door, on the cement, was a small, muddy footprint. A child's shoe, maybe size, I don't know. That wasn't something I ever thought I'd needed to guess before. The print was wet and dark and perfect, and the same size with the same tread as the one on my windshield. That print had not been there earlier when I came in. I would have definitely seen it. And then a terrible thought hit me. Something had followed me home, and now it had followed me inside the house. I told my brother and his friend about what had happened earlier. They looked at the print on the windshield and they started to freak out. They made me swear I wasn't making it up as we walked back into the house. And while I was swearing that I was telling the truth, the kitchen lights inside the house turned off and then back on, very deliberate, as if someone had flipped the switch down, left it for a moment, then switched it back up. Everyone screamed. Then the family cat stood on the counter and stared straight past us at an empty corner. He started growling real low, his tail puffed up like a big bottle brush. My brother yelled, "Look!" and pointed towards the pantry. On the pantry door, there were these little smudges. And when we all looked closer, all three of us were so freaked out now. We saw that those smudges were fingerprints, smaller than an adult's, as if someone had run their hand down the wood. They were dirt black and they smeared when I touched them, leaving that clay smell on my fingers. It felt like all the hairs on my body were now standing straight up. And then the worst part of the night happened. We all heard the same sound coming from the vents. My mom had always told us to sleep with the vents closed if we were scared of the house making noises. And now something was making noises coming through the vents, but it was not the house. My brother, his friend, me, we all heard the sound of a little kid breathing coming out of the vents. It sounded like a kid trying to be quiet, like maybe playing hide and seek and not realizing how loud the breathing was. And then while we all looked at each other and also tried but failed to keep perfectly quiet, we heard whatever was making that breathing sound start to laugh. The little nervous laugh kids make when they're playing a joke. And then we heard the laugh move down the hall. It grew quiet for a few moments, then we heard it again coming upstairs near my room. I'm still convinced that if I would have went up the stairs at that moment, I would have seen whatever was making that sound. And I am so glad I didn't. Nobody slept more than a few hours that night. We sat around the kitchen table for the longest time with all the lights on. We double-checked all the doors and the windows, moving in a group to make sure everything was shut and locked. We didn't see or hear anything else, not that night, but we remained on edge until the following morning. Every shadow seemed to cross the light wrong. At one point, we all went out to the driveway and shined a flashlight onto the car. And now that print on the windshield? Gone. The glass was clean, as if the night had never left a mark on it at all. But the night had left something new for us. Now on the hood of the car, in the dust, were tiny wet prints leading toward the passenger side and stopping at the wheel well, like somebody had walked along the hood and then jumped down. After that, we hurried back inside. We all gathered in the living room. I laid down and just kind of slept on the couch for like a few minutes maybe. They both slept a little on the floor. Then in the morning, feeling a lot braver in the daylight, we looked around and found some more evidence of whatever had happened. In the backyard, pressed into the damp grass near the fence, were two small shoe prints in a line, like somebody had walked along the property line and then jumped the fence. And then on the porch rail, there was a single finger-sized smear of mud. And this still makes my stomach drop when I say it, a little shoe, the kind they used to sell at Payless, was sitting on the bottom step of the porch. Clean, dry, and empty. Just one. And that's it. Whatever visited us, whatever I brought home, I think it left and moved on. That's the best guess I have. We've never been able to explain all the stuff that happened that night. My brother and his friend, grown men now, we're all of course grown, will not let that story die. They bring it up whenever we're all together, especially if we've had some drinks. Sometimes I still think I see a little footprint on my windshield when I walk up to my car in a parking lot or someplace at night. Luckily, I never have. Also, sometimes when my place is real quiet, I think I hear a small laugh coming from the vents. Not sure I actually do, or if it's just my mind playing tricks on me. I try and tell myself I've just gotten lost in a memory, a bad one. It's better than believing that whatever we experienced that night is returned. And one last thing before I post this. Maybe Jesse really did see a body or some bodies out by that pond. I am far too chicken to go back out there and check. I cannot risk bringing something, a ghost, or whatever that was, back into my life again.
Well, I'm glad that picked up because I was like, whatever. And then I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, the pace of that one really freaked me out. And I like it where like there's a lot of disturbing details, but it's not like crazy, big, nightmarish scenes.
No, I don't like it at all.
It feels so relatable.
Yeah.
And I like just the little connection of these footprints that are appearing and like smudges.
Mm-hmm.
And then the shoe at the end.
That shoe. What is it about one singular small shoe? You see like a one singular man shoe and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
You see one singular toddler shoe and you're just like, what the fuck?
I know.
Why is that?
I know. I do always think it's like, it just feels ominous every single time I see like a lone shoe out someplace where I'm like, what happened to that person? That's why my mind goes immediately because who just leaves a shoe? Like who's?
It depends where I see said shoe. See, if I see one singular shoe in the middle of the freeway, I think, well, somebody was moving, and that's like a tragedy of the move.
Oh yeah,
but
or a sibling tossed it out a window, some like stupid little kid thing. Yeah,
yeah.
But
on your back patio.
yeah.
Remember when we had the footprints?
Oh my God, I forgot actually.
That was awful.
Yeah, and it never happened again. That was that was fucking creepy. I forgot about that.
I thought it happened 2 times. For some reason, I thought it happened once, and then I was home by myself.
I think you're right. But it was in a short span of time.
Yeah, within like a month or so, maybe.
Because I
can't remember the specifics, but I do remember.
Yeah.
It was what was so upsetting about it was that it was 2 footprints, and they were like facing the back sliding door. That's what I did not like about it. And it wasn't in a spot. It wasn't like. Because you tried to convince me it was from having the patio sealed and that that's the last place that they would stand. But they weren't in a spot where somebody could then like jump down or move and not create another set of prints. And if you're a professional, I have thought about this a lot. If you're a professional sealing concrete, you just like I know I'm not a professional house cleaner, but like I've cleaned our house so many times. It's like if you're washing a floor, you're doing something like that.
Yeah.
You know where to start and stop so that you don't walk on the wet and create footprints.
You would start there and work your way to the outer edge and then just step onto the lawn.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that is not.
I didn't think of that at the time.
That is not what happened.
I know that was creepy. Because that's creepy either way with those footprints because they were facing the slider. So it's like there's no good possibility there. It's either there was some creepy paranormal thing or even worse,
human.
There was just some dude standing there probably seeing if it was locked, thinking about wanting to get in.
Ah!
Yeah. Well, it's been a long time, luckily.
Okay,
I don't
and you look like you. So if somebody was casing our house,
hopefully they would move on.
Listen, like I was never a deviant like that, but you were. If you saw somebody who looked like you probably would not fuck with that.
Yeah, and it's not like because it's not like I'm the toughest human or anything at all. Actually,
size alone.
But just look. I always think in this way. If you are a certain size, I think somebody who's just doing like opportunistic crimes and like a property theft kind of situation, for example. If there's a whole bunch of homes in the area, which obviously there's going to be unless you're living way out by yourself, and why would that be a weird place for them to come out and
yeah, that's a different kind of crime.
I get it's a different kind of crime, but they might have more ill intentions if they're doing that. But if you're just like in a neighborhood, I just look at it, they're like, oh, okay, they're not worth the hassle because they might be really tough.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to try and find, sadly, an old lady living alone or, something where it's like somebody I don't think can defend themselves the same way. One
of the very few benefits of living in North Idaho is that around here it's like a very much culture of like shoot first and like a stand your ground. I don't know if we're a stand your ground state or city or however exactly that works, but it's like this would be a wild place to try and break into a house.
This would be one of the worst places in the country to try and break in. You are almost certainly going to get shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so no pics associated with this story.
Like, also, sorry, why did they call the cops? Like, if I'm that age and I just out of pure fear, I think I would have called the cops. Because I'm guessing that she was, the sister was probably like somewhere between like 16 and 18.
Yeah.
Because she felt confident.
She said 16, I think, at the beginning of the story.
Oh, she did? I'm sorry, I spaced that.
Okay.
So then I bet the little brother was probably like 13, 14. You know, because she left him home alone with his buddy for a while.
But if you're hearing a little kid voice, I think the thing, if you're seeing like little kid prints, you're not as likely to call the police.
I would, because I would also think like, oh my God, did a little kid run away? Do we have like not so much a home invasion, but a different kind of problem.
Yeah.
But that laughing from the vents, oof, buddy, take that into a nightmare fuel, please. That is so fucking creepy to think about sounds in your vents. Some little crittery. You know how like we're all scared of the image of like a doll or a human walking backwards, like
yeah.
I can't make the sound. I know you can do it.
Yeah.
If you heard that in your vents, along with like a little kid or a maniacal laugh, every time, oh no, because you can't chase it down in your HVAC system. You're not getting up in there.
Nope. Oof. And then I picture like there was a scene in It years ago that was similar to this, but like looking in the vent and then you see it. What if you just saw like little eyeballs looking back at you?
Oh my God.
Oh, no thanks.
No thanks.
Yee!
It reminds me of that Kimberly story that you told here a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
It's like
oh my God.
Very dark story, but they end up in the
in the vents.
Vents with her and eek.
Ooh,
all right. Anyways.
Yeah. No pics associated with this story. Couldn't find anything online that I thought really related. So how about something to make everybody smile?
Oh, okay. Is it Penny and Gigi?
It is. Here's a photo of Ginger Bell wearing a banana peel for a hat.
Oh, Dee Dee.
And then this next
Oh my God,
one.
why is she so cute?
This next one's a picture of Penny Pooper, also wearing the same banana peel
Hey, Poops.
for a little hat. And so it's like, who wore it better?
Oh,
I
man.
think Ginger did.
I think Ginger did. Okay, you guys send in your votes. No, please don't. Please don't. Oh my God.
Love it.
She's so cute. Ginger does this funny thing where like she always drops her head below her shoulders as if she's going to avoid being hit, like as if she's an abused dog dodging. But even with the banana peel on her head, you can see this sort of move that she does.
She's a very anxious little thing.
Oh. Gigi has bad psoriasis right now.
Yeah.
Send thoughts and prayers.
She's wearing a little
Thunder vest. It's like
Yeah,
a calming thing, trying to get her to
keep her from
relax.
licking herself so much.
Yeah, but it doesn't cover the area. But just like maybe if we can get the anxiety down a little bit.
Yeah, she seems calmer when she has it on.
So poor baby. Okay, well, my first story is like we just dive right in.
Oh,
so
okay. Let's do it.
no intro. I met Eric in 2007, just shortly after separating from the Air Force. We were both doing a contract security gig for a big box store that had been getting robbed by its own employees. Not the most thrilling work. We mostly sat in a cubicle-sized office and drank really bad coffee. One night, around 2 a.m., Eric and I were talking about camping, and he started talking about why he doesn't camp anymore. It wasn't a joke or a story he told for laughs. He gave a blank stare the entire time and barely blinked. I didn't say a word while he talked. I just listened. And now, every time I hear someone whistle in the distance, I think about what he told me. Here's the story as I remember it. Time now for the tale of the thing that whistled. Eric had just gotten out of a rough relationship, the kind where everything you do starts to feel like it's the wrong thing. He needed to be away from people for a bit, so he packed up his truck, drove into the mountains, and went camping alone for the first time. He didn't go completely off-grid. He chose a small, semi-maintained spot up in the Cascades, a place called Deer Hollow. It had a fire pit, some flattened earth for tents, and a trailhead nearby that had fallen off the ranger maps years ago. Quiet and overlooked, it was exactly what he was looking for. The first day was uneventful. Eric hiked a little, sat on a rock, didn't talk, didn't text, and stated he felt something loosen up in him that he hadn't felt move in months. That first night, though, he heard something. At first, Eric thought it was just the usual forest noise. You know, wind through trees, occasional cracks of branches. But then, as he laid in his sleeping bag, eyes starting to shut, he heard a whistle. Just one. 3 notes. Low, high, low. Tuneless. It came from far away, so he figured it was the wind or a bird. Eric pulled the sleeping bag tighter around him and eventually drifted off. The next morning, Eric explored a little deeper down the old trail. It didn't go too far before it started to get overtaken by undergrowth, but he followed it maybe a quarter mile before stumbling across what used to be a ranger station. Just a small shack with boarded windows and rotting steps. The roof was half collapsed and some graffiti covered the front. Most of it was the usual teen garbage, names, dumb symbols, but one thing did stand out. "Don't whistle back," it said. Eric chuckled. He thought it was a joke, took a photo of it with his phone, and continued on. That night, he made a small fire and roasted one of those foil pack trail dinners. He stated he even laughed a little bit at himself, eating alone, eating beans like a cowboy. The quiet was peaceful. Until he heard it again. 3 notes, low, high, low, same as before, only this time closer. Eric stood and turned towards the trees, but of course he couldn't see anything. Just black pines, motionless in the still air. No wind, no birds. Just my imagination, he thought to himself. Echoes from the valley or something. But he didn't like how the fire crackled just a little louder after that. That night, Eric said he didn't sleep well. Every time he closed his eyes, he swore he heard something moving just past the edge of the campsite. Not walking, not running, just shifting. The next day, Eric went into the nearest town to get some more water and some batteries for his flashlight. Tiny place. 1 gas station, 1 general store, and a diner that looked like it hadn't changed since the 60s. Inside the store, he made small talk with the woman at the register. Gray hair, name tag said Marlene. Eric asked her if she knew anything about the old trailhead at Deer Hollow. She squinted at him. You camping out there? Yeah, he said, needed to get away for a bit. She didn't smile, just asked, You heard it yet? That threw him off. Heard what? Her mouth tightened. The whistling. He stared at her for a second. You mean like the birds or something? She shook her head slowly. No, not birds. You hear it once, fine. Twice, worry. 3 times, you get gone. What happens the 3rd time? Eric asked, kind of smiling. If it ever whistles back, she said, you run. He left the store with goosebumps and didn't say much of the rest of the day. That night, he made a mistake. It was almost midnight. Eric hadn't heard anything all evening. He was reading by his lantern light, sipping some instant coffee, thinking maybe Marlene was just trying to freak him out. Then he heard it again. 3 notes. Low, high, low. Closer than ever, just beyond the ring of trees. And at that point, Eric froze. He said something about the way it hung in the air made his stomach twist. To this day, he doesn't know why he did it, but without thinking, he whistled back. Same notes, same pattern. And the moment he did, he said he regretted it. There was silence, a heavy kind. And then it whistled back. Not similar, identical. Like it had recorded his own whistle and played it back through teeth. And then it started moving. The whistling came, this time from a different direction, and then another and another. 3 distinct spots all around him, the same notes, overlapping. Eric grabbed his flashlight and swept it over the trees. Nothing. No eyes, no figures. But then, behind the tent, he saw it. Just for a second. Something tall, too tall. Skin pale like candle wax, limbs too long for its body. It stood perfectly still until Eric blinked, and then it was gone. He said he didn't bother packing. He just grabbed his bag and bolted towards the trail. The whistling followed him the entire time. Every time Eric thought it was fading, it would get loud again right behind him. At one point, he thought he heard it mimic his own voice. Eric. It kind of stretched out, like it had never said a name before and wasn't sure where to put the weight. Eric said he ran until he couldn't breathe. Then he saw that old ranger shack, and without thinking, he slammed the door open and shut it behind him. There was no lock, so he dragged a broken chair and a collapsed filing cabinet in front of the door and backed into a corner. The whistling didn't stop. It circled the shack, moving slowly. Tap, 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 on the walls, on the roof. And then it started to sound like crying. Like Eric's crying, like it was playing back a painful memory. He stayed in that shack until morning. The whistling stopped just before the sun came up, but he said he stayed frozen inside the shack until another hour, just to be sure. Eventually, a group of hikers passed by and saw him inside. Eric thought he must have looked like hell, eyes wide, face pale, clutching a flashlight like it was a weapon. They offered him a ride to town, and he quickly accepted. He told the hikers he had gotten lost and didn't tell them anything about the thing that had whistled. Eric said he never went back for his tent or his gear. And that's the story Eric told me. He didn't smile when he finished the story. He didn't ask if I believed him. He just reached into a desk drawer, pulled out a pack of gum, and offered me a piece. I took it just so I wouldn't have to say anything. 2 years later, I heard someone whistling on the other side of a trail while hiking near Mount Hood. It was that tune. 3 notes, low, high, low. I didn't whistle back, and I left before the sun went down. Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
I love this story.
Yeah, it has a really creepy rhythm. And I think it's hard to keep it all in my brain just in memory, but I think like a skinwalker where like the mimic and the whistling, I feel like whistling does come up in some of those stories.
I think so. And that's like a big thing that I feel like this is a common thread that we've heard many times here. In the night, or like kind of at dusk as the sun's going down or when it's getting dark and you're out in the woods, if something whistles or calls your name, you don't respond and you don't look behind you. You just fucking march on.
God, yeah.
I don't think I could ever go camping by myself.
Yeah.
Nope. I have like a hard time staying home alone in our house, like this space that I know so well. I know the creaks, I know the sounds. And I think during the day, like, oh, I'm fine. Like, I'm so glad that Dan's having a boys' weekend or whatever it is. Like, and every time I think like, okay, you should really take your gummy early. You should really get into bed early. Without fail, 11 o'clock rolls around. I'm still awake, enjoying binging some terrible, trashy TV show.
Yeah.
I regret my choices.
Yeah.
And now I'm fucking terrified to go to bed alone. And I have 2 dogs.
Right.
I have an alarm system. Like, I have everything to keep me safe. So now transport me to the woods by myself. Get the fuck out of here. That is never happening.
I'm blown away when just by people who do like the Appalachian Trail, you know, just like solo.
Yeah.
And just go out for months hiking around, overnighting by themselves. That's pretty brave.
Pretty brave.
Yeah. I mean, there, I guess you got a lot of foot traffic, which is pro-con. You know, con, you're not alone, but you also, or I guess, pro, you're not alone, but that's also a con because you don't know the other people.
That's right.
So you have to worry about them too. But yeah. I'm trying to think if I feel like I thought I'd maybe gone out in the woods by myself for a camp, but I don't think I ever have. I think it's always with like a friend or something.
I mean, I wouldn't even go hiking at like dusk or dawn by myself.
Yeah. I hiked plenty growing up as a kid by myself.
Sure.
Just mess around in the woods. But now it's like, I don't know that I would like to go out, just way out somewhere. Because I just think like, even like practical things. I think like, what if I had a heart attack? And then I'm just dead.
Yeah.
Because there's no one to see me. But then also like it would be really nice just to like be on the bank of a lake, way out in the woods with literally no one else around, reading a book.
Okay, but here's the thing. You can do that.
Yeah.
You can say like, hey, I'm going to do this. I can track you. And then you can do that after the sun has risen and you can come back before the sun goes down.
That's true.
Like, but I think that's just age,
Can't live your life scared all the time either, yeah.
That's right. And I think some of it is just, like we grow up and we realize the practicality. I'm generally not that worried about other people. I mean, I am cautious, but I'm just like, okay, well,
I know.
It's unlikely that that's going to happen. But I just think about like, what if I break my ankle? What if I lose service? I'm a freaking mess of a human. I fall down like a lot,
Yeah. Good story.
Okay. Well, do you want to go trick-or-treating?
Oh, yeah, that's right. The second one was the trick-or-treating one.
It's so strange.
Okay, I'm ready.
Hey, Dan and Lynze.
Hello.
I'm writing in because something happened when I was a teenager that I've never been able to explain. It's the kind of story that, the older I get, the more it creeps me out. And now, with teenage kids of my own asking to go out alone on Halloween, I can't get it out of my head. When I was 15, my friends and I had stumbled into what I can only describe as an alternate version of our lives. Maybe a time slip, though I don't totally understand how that works. Anyways, here's my story. Let me know what you think happened. Back in high school, I wasn't part of the cool crowd. My friend group was made up of the leftovers. You know, the kids who liked comics and anime, played in the band and actually liked it, gamers, and just overall kids who didn't fit into the obvious boxes high school attempts to put you in. We weren't losers exactly. People liked us, but we were never at the top of anyone's list to be invited to parties. And in this case, we definitely weren't the ones anyone thought to invite to the Halloween party. That year, the cool kids were throwing a massive house party. Some rich kid had the house to himself since his parents were off on some rich person trip. I know. It's such a lame cliche movie setup, but those movies hit because we can all relate. Everyone knew about the party, and of course, none of us got an invite. So, we decided to do our own thing. Even though we were technically a little too old for trick-or-treating, we figured, screw it, let's dress up, get candy, and then head over to the old cemetery on Willow Lane for some spooky fun. There were 4 of us that night. Me, Asher, my best friend Kyle, and 2 girls from our group, Maya and Serena. We'd all thrown together costumes, nothing fancy. Kyle was a vampire, Maya a witch, Serena had a glow-in-the-dark skeleton onesie she stole from her younger sister, and I was a zombie with some homemade fake blood. We walked the neighborhood, joking around, filling our bags with candy. People gave us a few side eyes for being too old, but some neighbors seemed happy to see teenagers still trying to keep the spirit alive. By the end of it, we were buzzing on sugar and laughing at how lame we looked compared to kids in elaborate costumes. Tell me, when did 5-year-olds start going all out? What happened to putting a sheet over your head and being a ghost? Anyways, When the candy bags got heavy, Kyle grinned and asked, "Cemetery time?" We agreed. We were excited to explore it in the dark. The Willow Lane Cemetery sat at the edge of town, tucked behind a patch of woods. It wasn't abandoned exactly, but it was old and no new gravesites had been added in ages. Crumbling headstones and an iron gate that groaned when you pushed it open, it was the perfect place for a spooky end to the night. We walked there a little after 10. The street was dead quiet. All the trick-or-treaters had gone home for the night, and all the porch lights were off, which would have been weird on any other night, but we assumed it was the homeowner's way of letting kids know they were closing up shop for the night. The four of us pushed through the squealing gate and wandered in. I remember noting that the air felt different right away, immediately colder and more still. No wind in the trees, no cars passing on the road, just this heavy silence. I brushed it off. I mean, it's a cemetery after all. Of course it felt stiff. We hadn't been there more than 5 minutes when Maya stopped, dead in her tracks, and pointed. At the far end of the cemetery, near a cluster of boulders, was another group of kids. They were dressed exactly like us. Like exactly. One kid was a vampire with the same cheap cape as Kyle. Another was in a skeleton onesie just like Serena's. A zombie with smeared fake blood, and a witch with the same type of floppy hat as Maya. I laughed a nervous laugh. Oh my God, you guys. Did the party kids really go out just to mess with us? But how could that be? How could they have known what lame costumes we had thrown together at the last minute? And then I noticed that their costumes looked old and dirty. The skeleton onesie was torn at the sleeve. The witch had a hat that was bent and stained. The vampire's cape was shredded at the bottom. And their faces were so weird. Kind of pale, a waxy gloss to their eyes. Their mouths seemed to be missing teeth or were propped open to look like black holes. The harder I stared, the more creeped out I grew. And then I realized what was so unsettling. Their faces were our faces. Not exactly, but close enough that I felt sick looking at them. Each of them had the same build, the same hair, the same way of standing as us. It was like watching a reflection in a fun house mirror. Everything is correct, but everything is also wrong. Kyle shouted, "Who are you, freaks?" His voice kind of cracked. I mean, he was trying to sound brave. The other group didn't answer. They only stared. And then, perfectly in sync, they began walking towards us. We shuffled backwards clumsily and not at all in unison like our twins. Serena was whispering, "This isn't funny. This isn't funny." My heart was hammering so hard I thought I was going to pass out. As they moved closer, I saw something that made my legs nearly give out. The other me, the zombie, had this huge gash over his head, like the kind of wound you'd get from a piece of glass slicing you open. And his one eye was swollen shut, purple, black. He was so pale he looked dead. And the other Serena, the skeleton, limped aggressively. Her leg was bent in the wrong direction, dragging across the gravel, filling the air with a terrible symphony. Kyle swore under his breath and then grabbed my arm. "Run," he said. We bolted. We didn't even bother with the heavy gate. We climbed the fence, tearing our costumes and scratching our hands on the rust. I didn't look back until we hit the streetlight at the corner, and when I finally glanced over my shoulder, the cemetery was empty. Just shadows and gravestones. We didn't say much walking home. Each of us just went straight to our houses, shaken and scared. The next day at school, there was no rumor about an awesome prank being played by the cool crowd. You know, if they'd done it, they'd be bragging about it and terrorizing us further for their own enjoyment. But nobody said anything about Halloween night outside of some rumors of who hooked up with who at the party. Here's the thing that keeps me up. About a year after this incident, Serena got into a car accident. She survived, but her leg badly broken, and I couldn't stop thinking about the limp of that other Serena. And then, about a year later, a kid from our school, a boy who looked almost identical to Kyle, he died in a car wreck at that same intersection by Willow Lane. I don't know what we saw that night. Doppelgangers, maybe? A slip into some other version of our lives? I don't know, but I swear those things in the cemetery weren't just copies of us. They felt like warnings. I no longer live in that small town, but every Halloween I take my kids over to my folks to trick or treat. And every year I'm filled with that dread that we will see those kids again. Or worse, what if I see versions of my kids that are not at all my kids? Thanks for listening, and thanks for the show. I do love it. Asher.
Thank you, Asher. Yeah, I was trying to think if we've ever had a story where there was like a group of doppelgangers. I don't think so. And I'm surprised actually, like even in just like horror lore or horror movies or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure there's horror movies where like some scenario like this has happened. I would be surprised just because so many things have been done and created.
Totally.
But yeah, that's super creepy.
Isn't it though?
And just like, like in this realm of allegedly true horror stories, I look at I've read so many horror stories in forums that I've never like told for every story I've shared here on the show.
Yeah.
I've probably read like 3 times that many as far as just like looking at things.
Totally.
And that does not ring familiar at all, of like a story where like a group of 2, 3, 4 people are out somewhere and see another group of the same amount of people with a mimic of each person.
So effing upsetting.
And like a little bit of like a degraded mimic. Like the way they describe that. Like that,
the great choice of words. Degraded mimic. Yeah.
Yeah, no thanks.
No thanks.
That's good. That was a good story. That's made my hair stand up my arm a little bit there. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it was like the ending details too of just like Serena getting in a car accident later and breaking her leg. And then like having that flash moment of like, oh yeah. Didn't the other Serena? And then the Kyle lookalike dying in a car wreck. Obviously tragic and sad. Surely Kyle had a moment of like, did it get the wrong one?
Right. Like a Final Destination type thing.
Oh my God. Totally. I didn't think about that, but yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, creepy ones this week.
Yeah. Some good ones.
All right. Well, welcome to spoopy season, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
How are you guys celebrating? What are you doing? Are you going to haunted houses? What's your jam?
I almost forgot. I mean, other than there's just a lot of horror movies coming out, I almost forgot that it was spoopy season just because we're just in perennial spoopy, like it's never ending spoopy season.
That's fair.
But I'm like, oh yeah. Like, yeah, we really are getting like close to Halloween. We just saw another horror movie. We saw the Long Walk and it was good. It was intense.
Really good, yeah.
It was really riveting. It's not like, I would say it's compared to like a movie like Weapons. It's not going to be as innovative, and it's not going to have like that it's not paranormal.
No, I don't think that you're holding your breath in that like way that you're afraid that something's going to pop out of you. You very much know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story / movie that way. Like I remember reading the book when I was like a kid, and it is fascinating. Like from the very beginning of the movie, it's a movie that's hard to spoil unless somebody told you who won, essentially.
True.
But like other than that, like going in what the deal is. Or if you don't, within 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
All these kids walking. And I was kind of thinking, I'm like, how are they going to keep this entertaining for 90 plus minutes?
Yeah, it was short. It was a 90-minute movie, which I think was smart.
Nice and lean.
Yeah.
But like you're riveted.
Yeah, no, it was great. And like recommendation.
Yeah.
Just like when it begins, pick who in your mind, pick your winning horse.
Oh yeah.
That's what I did.
And
yeah.
I bet most people, I did too, and I was wrong.
You were wrong. I was correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's very quick that like there's only a few options of who's just the nature of movies.
Yeah, focusing on main characters. Yeah,
exactly. But it was really good.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good horror movies lately.
Mm-hmm. What are we going to see next? I do want to see the new Conjuring, except that it's like getting very, very, very mixed reviews.
Yeah, I'll probably still see it just because I like that franchise.
Yeah.
But man, and now I cannot remember what it was. But I literally watched a trailer earlier today, or part of one for a horror movie. Maybe I'll think of it next recording.
Yeah, no worries.
But there's a bunch of stuff coming out.
Yeah, it's a fun time of year.
Yeah, it is. Do you want to thank some Annabelles?
I do. We will, of course, be announcing our charity later this month. But thank you to all of our Roberts and Annabelles who make this possible. To these Annabelles, thank you so much. Bearded Outdoorsman Northwoods. B-Rad G, John Ford. Oh, is that like John Ford? Like who you married at camp? John Ford?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Xander Halpin, Shocker Baby, but like SHAWKER.
Okay.
Shocker Baby.
Okay.
Followed by Electric Gizzard.
Okay.
That's a great combo. You guys should get together and make a baby. Danny, Jody Lou. Oh, hey, other Lou. Garrett Mace and Nathan Hajowski.
Okay, great. And I'd like to thank the following Annabelles as well. Thank you for supporting our show. Joseph, Yahir Camargo, lover of all things spooky,
Cute.
Abby Clare, Riley Rocky, Lily Notham, James Bowen Hamilton, so Bowen hyphen Hamilton, Morgan Mills, Abby Normal. It's like abnormal, but there's an I. Abby Normal, Rabid Panda, and then this one might be my favorite one so far of all time. It really cracks me up. 3 ears of corn, comma, but like, comma, in an unsettling way. Just that whole 3 ears of corn, but like in an unsettling way type of 3 ears of corn. That's
so funny.
Really funny.
I know, I love that. All right, a few spoopy shout outs here. To Bridget from Bridget, happy 31st birthday, baddie. 30 was rough, but I'm proud of you for making it through. And 31 is going to bring better things, pinky promise. Keep on smiling. To Jake from Tyler, happy birthday to my man wife. Congrats on getting old. Also, who put that shovel there? Additionally, happy 9-year anniversary to my actual wife, Kaylee. If I give Jake a shout out and not you, I may never hear the end of it, even if you don't listen to this show. Which I love a good spouse.
Yep,
I know what I got to do here.
Yeah.
To Lauren, from Lauren and Sophie, happy 40th birthday. Sophie might not be by your side physically anymore, but I hope you continue to celebrate that soulmate of yours. Keep turning this intense pain into goodness and kindness. The world needs that. Sophie helped over 400 rescue pups, so keep her legacy going. Be strong, be grateful, and keep going on the hardest of days. So Lauren, who sent in this shout out for herself to help her get through this hard time, Sophie was her dog, and she had to put Sophie down on September 18th.
Oh, yeah.
I'm crying. Like, oh, my dogs are going to live forever.
Yeah.
Meow.
And that's our show.
That's our show.
Thank you for continuing to send in your personal tales of terror to mystory@scaredtodeathpodcast.com. Thanks for continuing to listen. You can email us for everything else at info@scaredtodeathpodcast.com. Thank you to Logan Keith, scoring today's show. Thanks to Heather Rylander for organizing the My Story emails. To book editor Drew Atana, polishing and preparing listener stories for book number 7. I was able to find both of my stories this week. We are on Facebook and Instagram where we post pics that accompany episodes and more at Scared to Death Podcast. Also have a private Facebook group called Creeps and Peepers, full of fellow horror lovers who probably have all kinds of movie recommendations.
Oh, yeah.
And big thanks to the All Seeing Eyes, the Creeps and Peepers moderators. They definitely have horror recommendations. Enjoy your nightmares, Creeps and Peepers. Hope you were scared to death.
Bye.
If spirits threaten me in this place, fight water by water and fire by fire. Banish their souls into nothingness and remove their powers until the last trace. Let these evil beings flee through time and space. Evil may pass through, but has no home here within, scared to death.
Mad Magic Productions.
Ah!
Yeah.